Story 1. The Whispering Woods. Jake, Emily, and their friends decided to camp in the Whispering Woods, a serene forest known for its beauty and tranquility. The first day was perfect, filled with laughter, hiking, and a cozy campfire under the stars. As the group settled into their tents, Jake was startled by a faint whispering sound. He dismissed it as the wind, but the whispers grew louder, seemingly coming from all directions. Jake's curiosity got the best of him, and he stepped out of his tent to investigate. The sound seemed to be coming from the trees themselves. Jake called out to his friends, and one by one, they emerged from their tents, all having heard the same whispers. Fear crept in, as they realized they weren't alone. Emily suggested they stay close together until morning. As they huddled near the fire, the whispers grew louder, now accompanied by soft footsteps circling their campsite. The air grew colder, and an oppressive feeling settled over them. In the pitch darkness, the whispers turned into sinister laughter. Panic set in as the group tried to relight the fire, but their matches wouldn't catch. Jake felt something cold brush against his arm, and turned to see a shadowy figure lurking at the edge of the trees. Grabbing their flashlights, they hurriedly packed up and made their way back to their cars. The whispers followed them, growing louder with each step. By the time they reached their vehicles, the sound was deafening. As they sped away, the whispers faded, but the terror lingered. Jake later learned that Whispering Woods had a dark history. Many campers had reported strange occurrences and unexplained disappearances. They were lucky to have escaped. Story 2. The Ghost of Black Lake. Sarah and her friends decided to camp by Black Lake, a secluded spot known for its crystal clear water and stunning views. They'd heard the local legend of a ghostly figure that haunted the lake, but brushed it off as a silly story. They set up their tents, cooked dinner, and told stories around the campfire. The lake was calm, and the night was peaceful. As they settled into their tents, Sarah couldn't shake a feeling of unease, but eventually drifted off to sleep. In the middle of the night, Sarah was awakened by a soft, mournful cry. She sat up and listened. It sounded like a woman sobbing. She peeked out of her tent and saw a faint figure standing by the water's edge. Sarah's friend, Mark, emerged from his tent, having heard the same cries. They cautiously approached the figure, but as they got closer, it vanished. The sobbing continued, echoing across the lake. The next morning, they found strange footprints around their campsite, leading to and from the lake. Determined to uncover the truth, they decided to stay another night. This time, they set up cameras around their camp. That night, the sobbing returned, louder and more desperate. The figure appeared again, and this time, it walked towards their tents. Sarah and Mark froze in terror as it passed right through their tent walls. When they checked the cameras in the morning, the footage showed a translucent woman with hollow eyes drifting through their campsite. Terrified, they packed up and left, vowing never to return. Later, they learned the lake was said to be haunted by the spirit of a woman who had drowned there years ago. The footage they captured remains a chilling reminder of their encounter with the ghost of Black Lake. Story 3. The Vanishing Campers. Tom, Lisa, and their friends decided to camp at a well-known site in the mountains. It was a favorite among hikers and campers, and they were excited to explore the trails and enjoy the fresh mountain air. They set up their tents, made dinner, and chatted around the campfire. As the night wore on, they shared ghost stories and laughed, feeling safe in their well-lit campsite. In the middle of the night, Tom was awakened by a rustling sound outside his tent. He unzipped the tent and saw what looked like a figure moving through the trees. He assumed it was an animal and went back to sleep. Lisa's tent was empty, and she was nowhere to be found. They searched the surrounding area, but found no trace of her. Panicked, they contacted the park rangers, who launched a search party. As the day progressed, more campers reported strange sightings and sounds. Some claimed to have seen shadowy figures watching them from the trees. The atmosphere grew tense, and many campers decided to leave. That night, they heard footsteps around their campsite and saw flickering lights in the distance. Following the lights, they found an old, abandoned cabin. Inside, They discovered Lisa's belongings, but no sign of her. They found old newspaper clippings about previous campers who had vanished in the area. Their disappearances never solved. Realizing the danger they were in, they hurried back to their campsite, only to find their tent slashed and their gear scattered. As they ran through the woods, they felt eyes watching them and heard whispers in the wind. They finally reached their car and sped away, vowing never to return. Lisa was never found, and the mystery of the vanishing campers remains unsolved. The abandoned cabin stands as a grim reminder of those who disappeared without a trace.